Look, I'm about to discuss something that might get me in trouble. I know that. In today's climate, simply observing reality is often considered an act of rebellion, but it is a conversation worth having. In fact, it might be the most important conversation we can have about the state of human connection right now. You know what I keep seeing? I see it in the comments sections. I hear it in coffee shops. I see it on forums, and I hear it from friends. Women in their 30s and 40s, successful, attractive, intelligent women, complaining that men do not approach anymore. And let's be clear, they aren't just complaining, they are genuinely, deeply confused. There is a sense of bewilderment in their voices. They are asking questions like, where did all the good men go? Why won't men pursue me? Why is dating so incredibly hard now compared to 10 years ago? And here is what is fascinating about this phenomenon. These are often the same women who spent their entire 20s publicly documenting their lives on Instagram. These are the same women who had 200, maybe 300 plus matches on dating apps at any given time. The same women who turned their attention into currency and their image into content. The same women who made themselves as visible, as accessible, and as present as humanly possible. Now, they are wondering why men aren't interested in chasing them. And on the other side of the equation, the men are confused too. But their confusion is different. It's logical. They are thinking, wait a minute, you are everywhere. You post 50 times a week. I can see your entire life story before I even say hello. I know what you think about politics. I know where you vacation. I know what you eat for breakfast. I know who you hang out with, and I know exactly what you look like from every conceivable angle. You have matched with hundreds of guys. You are accessible to everyone with a Wi-Fi connection. So, what exactly am I supposed to chase? Something fundamental shifted in the architecture of human mating. It wasn't a small shift, it was a tectonic plate movement. Women didn't stop being hard to get. They stopped being hard to get in every sense except the one that actually matters. Commitment. They became easy to access, easy to see, easy to know everything about. And somehow, in a twist that modern society didn't predict, that made them difficult to want. You have watched this transformation happen in real time. Maybe you couldn't put your finger on it. Maybe you felt it as a vague sense of unease when scrolling through a dating app, or a lack of motivation when you saw an attractive woman at a bar. But you noticed it. Women used to create mystery. They used to cultivate scarcity. They used to exercise selectivity. Now they broadcast abundance. And men? Men responded exactly the way evolution, biology, and thousands of years of survival instinct programmed them to respond, by losing interest. This isn't about blaming anyone. This isn't about misogyny or bitterness. This is about understanding what happened when an entire gender traded scarcity for abundance, mystery for visibility, and selectivity for accessibility. This is about understanding why hard to get stopped existing and what dark reality replaced it. Let's talk about how we got here. Let's deconstruct the death of the chase. Here is something you need to understand about the old game, because most people under the age of 40 have never truly experienced it, and those over 40 are starting to forget it. When I say women used to be hard to get, I am not talking about playing mind games. I'm not talking about being manipulative or cruel. I am talking about something much simpler, something foundational to the human experience. I am talking about value. Scarcity creates value. This isn't just psychology, this is economics. It is the first law of the market. When something is rare, when it is difficult to obtain, when it requires effort to access, people want it, they value it, they cherish it. When something is abundant, when it is freely available to everyone, when it is thrown in your face at every turn, nobody wants it. Or, if they do take it, they don't value it. Think about diamonds. Why are they valuable? Are they useful? Not particularly. You can't eat them. They don't keep you warm. They are valuable for one reason. They are rare. If you could walk out your front door and pick up a handful of diamonds from the sidewalk, nobody would pay thousands of dollars for a ring. The scarcity creates the value. The same principle applies to attention. The same principle applies to access. The same principle applies to people. Let me paint you a picture of how dating used to work. In a world before the smartphone, before the algorithm, before the constant dopamine feedback loop, you would see a woman you found attractive, let's say at work or through mutual friends or at a local bar. This was a physical reality. You saw her. That was it. You didn't know if she was single. You didn't know if she was interested. You didn't know her history. You had to approach her in person, risk rejection in front of other people, and actually start a conversation. This required courage. It required skin in the game. If she gave you her phone number, that was a victory. But think about what that meant. It meant she wrote 7 digits on a piece of paper. That was the only link you had to her. You couldn't text her immediately. You couldn't look her up on Facebook to see who her ex-boyfriend was. You had to wait. You had to call her on a telephone at her house. You had to hope her roommate or her father didn't answer first. And if you got her on the phone, you had to actually talk. You couldn't hide behind emojis. You couldn't send a meme to break the ice. You had to have an actual conversation where your personality, your voice, your confidence, and your wit were on full display. Then you would ask her out. Not, let's hang out sometime. No, you would ask her to do something specific on a specific day at a specific time. Dinner, Friday, 7 p.m. Something that required planning, something that required showing up. And she would calibrate her response. She might say yes, but maybe not this weekend. She might be busy. She might return your call, but not immediately. She would show interest, but she would maintain distance. She was creating space. She was making you prove you were serious. And here is the thing. You both knew what was happening. It was an unspoken dance. She was gatekeeping her attention. She was demonstrating that her time was valuable. And you understood that her doing this meant she had standards. It meant she valued herself. It meant that access to her intimacy wasn't free. The chase wasn't frustrating in a bad way. It was part of what made her attractive. The friction created the spark. Think about what this created. Investment. You invested time. You invested effort. You invested emotional energy into pursuing her. She invested time in carefully evaluating whether you were worth it. By the time you actually started dating, both of you had skin in the game. The relationship meant something because it cost something to build. But here is the critical part most people miss. This system worked because both sides had limited options. She knew maybe 30 to 50 eligible men in her social circle. She would realistically interact with maybe 10 of them. She had to be selective, yes, but she couldn't afford to be impossibly picky. The pool was small enough that she had to engage with reality. She had to compromise. She had to look for character, not just a checklist of impossible traits. You had the same constraints. You knew maybe 20 to 30 single women through work, friends, and social activities. You were interested in some, not others. But you couldn't scroll through thousands of options while sitting on your couch in your underwear. Geography, social circles, and simple logistics created natural boundaries. This created a functional market. Scarcity on both sides meant reasonable expectations. The effort required to pursue matched the reward of finding someone, and it produced results. Relationships that lasted, marriages that worked, people who actually committed to each other because they both invested in making it happen. That world had clear rules. Everyone understood them. Everyone played by them. And then technology arrived and destroyed every single one of those rules. It didn't just bend them, it incinerated them. If you are over 50, you remember a world where dating happened entirely offline. If you are between 35 and 50, you watched the transition happen in real time. You saw the before and after. You are the generation that bridges the gap. You can compare them. And what you saw was this. Women went from being gatekeepers of their own attention to broadcasters of it. This is the pivotal moment in modern social history, the moment the camera turned inward. I'll give you an example. Think about a woman you knew in the late 90s or early 2000s, maybe someone you were interested in, maybe just an acquaintance. What did you actually know about her? You knew what she looked like when you saw her in person. Maybe you knew where she worked or went to school. You might have known who her close friends were. That was about it. You didn't know her political opinions unless you asked. You didn't know what she ate for lunch. You didn't know where she went on vacation unless she showed you printed photos. You didn't know what her apartment looked like, or what she thought about the news, or which celebrities she found attractive. You didn't have access to 47 photos of her from different angles in a bikini. You didn't know who else was pursuing her, or who she was talking to. She was a mystery, and that mystery made her interesting. That mystery was a blank canvas upon which you could project your romantic ideals. You wanted to know her because you didn't know her. Now think about a woman you know today, even casually, even someone you just met. What do you know about her? Everything. You know what she thinks about politics, social issues, her job, her family. You know what her body looks like from carefully curated angles that emphasize her assets. You know where she travels. You know what she eats. You know who her friends are. You know what makes her happy or angry. You've seen her morning routine, her workout videos, her night out photos. You know all of this without ever having a single conversation with her. She has broadcast it all, voluntarily, to everyone with an internet connection. She has stripped away the layers of privacy that used to constitute intimacy. Here is what I keep hearing from men in their 40s and 50s. They tell me, I matched with her on a dating app, and before I even messaged her, I looked at her Instagram. I scrolled through 2 years of her life in about 10 minutes. I saw her ex-boyfriend. I saw her friend drama. I saw her political rants. I saw her thirst traps. I saw her inspirational quotes. By the time I was done, I felt like I already knew her. And honestly, I wasn't interested anymore. That is the shift. Information that used to be revealed slowly, delicately, over weeks or months of dating, is now front-loaded before you even say hello. It turns out, most people aren't that interesting when you see everything at once. It turns out that mystery is a crucial component of attraction. But it gets worse. Because it's not just that she's showing you everything, she's showing everyone everything. You aren't discovering her. You are consuming content that she has created for an audience of thousands. You aren't getting to know a person, you are watching a performance. And men's brains, whether they consciously realize it or not, are doing the math. If she is this available to everyone, why would I work to pursue her? What am I even pursuing? I already have access to everything except her physical presence. And honestly, looking at the digital version is often enough to kill the desire for the physical version. Let's call this the spoiler effect. Imagine you're about to watch a movie you've been excited about. But before you walk into the theatre, someone hands you a detailed script, shows you all the best scenes, tells you the ending, and explains every plot twist. Do you still want to watch the movie? Maybe, but the excitement is gone. The anticipation is dead. You might watch it, but you won't be on the edge of your seat. Modern Dating is a movie where you've seen the entire trailer, the behind-the-scenes footage, and the director's commentary before you even buy a ticket. I want to tell you about a conversation I had recently that really crystallized this. A friend of mine, 38 years old, a successful guy, fit, good career. He was telling me about a woman he went on a date with. Before the date, he did what everyone does. He looked at her Instagram. She had about 15,000 followers. Every photo was carefully staged. Her entire feed was her in bikinis, workout clothes, carefully lit selfies. Every caption was designed to sound deep while showing maximum skin. It was a professional production. He went on the date anyway, and here is what he told me. The whole time we were sitting there, I couldn't stop thinking. This woman spends hours every week creating content for thousands of random men to consume. She is literally making herself as sexually available as possible visually to anyone with a phone. But she is sitting across from me acting like I need to earn her attention. What exactly am I earning? Access to what? I've already seen everything. He didn't go on a second date. Not because he wasn't attracted to her physically, but because the entire dynamic felt backwards. It felt like a scam. She had already given everything away to everyone. There was nothing left to pursue. This is what happens when attention becomes currency. Women learned they could monetize male attention, not just literally through platforms like OnlyFans, but socially, through likes, followers, comments, and validation. Every photo that gets 1,000 likes provides a dopamine hit. Every thirsty comment reinforces that she is valuable. It feels like power. But here is what they didn't anticipate. Men started seeing through it. You know what I keep hearing? She has 10,000 followers and posts provocative photos for validation from strangers, but she is offended when I don't want to commit. She is literally advertising herself to everyone. Why would I think I'm special? The attention economy promised women power. More visibility means more options, they were told. More men seeing you means higher quality men will compete for you. That's what they believed. That is the lie they were sold. What actually happened was a market flood. When every woman is posting bikini photos and thirst traps, each individual photo loses impact. When everyone is accessible in DMs, accessibility stops being special. When thousands of women are competing for attention using the same strategy, the strategy stops working. And men, especially men over 35, who remember the old system, noticed something vital. The women broadcasting the most were often offering the least. The more attention she was collecting from strangers, the less interested she seemed in actual connection with anyone specific. One guy told me, I went on her Instagram and saw she had posted 15 stories that day. 15. Every meal, every outfit change, every thought that popped into her head, and I thought, when does she have time to actually connect with anyone? She isn't living life, she is performing it for an audience. That is the shift. Women went from carefully rationing their attention to desperately farming it, from being selectively visible to constantly on display, and men stopped seeing them as potential partners and started seeing them as content creators who happen to be single. Now, let's talk about the mechanism that accelerated this disaster. Dating apps. They didn't just change dating, they broke something fundamental in human psychology. They weaponized our own biology against us. Here is what I keep hearing from women. I match with so many guys, but none of them want a relationship. They just want to hook up, or they ghost. Where are all the serious men? And here is what I keep hearing from men. Why would I compete with 200 other guys for her attention when she is clearly not actually interested in any of us? She is just shopping. Both sides are right, and both sides are trapped in a system that destroyed what used to work. Let me walk you through what happens mechanically. A moderately attractive woman downloads Tinder or Hinge. Within 24 hours, she has 100 plus matches. Her phone is buzzing constantly. Guys are messaging her, super liking her, sending elaborate openers, or just saying hey. She is overwhelmed by abundance. Now, human beings are not psychologically equipped to choose from 100 options. This is known as the paradox of choice. Research shows that when you have too many choices, you make worse decisions. You become paralyzed. You can't commit because you are always wondering if something better is just one swipe away. You start filtering based on arbitrary criteria, just to narrow the field. So she starts filtering. No one under 6 feet. No one making less than 6 figures. Must have these specific hobbies. Must look like this. Must travel. She creates a fantasy checklist, and even then, she still has 30 matches. So she talks to all of them simultaneously. Sort of. She is having 30 shallow, low-investment conversations. She is evaluating everyone against everyone else, never really investing in any single person. From her perspective, she is being selective. From the men's perspective, they are competing in a gladiator arena where the prize isn't even paying attention. One guy told me, I matched with her. We had a good conversation for a day. Then she just stopped responding. 3 weeks later, she viewed my profile again. I looked at her Instagram. She'd gone on dates with at least 2 other guys in that time, posting photos with them. Then I guess those didn't work out, so she is cycling back through her matches. I am literally in a rotation with dozens of other guys. Why would I invest in that? Here is the thing. When a woman has 200 matches, each individual man becomes disposable. She isn't creating connection, she is window shopping. And the men can feel it. They know they are one of many. They know she is simultaneously talking to their competition. They know that even if they win the date, she is going to keep her options open because the app is still on her phone. So men started asking a rational question. Why bother? Why invest effort in standing out among 200 competitors when the prize is a woman who has already demonstrated she is not selective? She is just overwhelmed by her own abundance. The apps promised efficiency. They delivered a hellscape of dissatisfaction. They made satisfaction impossible for women and made pursuit pointless for men. This brings us to the core concept I want to burn into your mind today. The phrase that keeps coming up in conversations with men who have opted out of this market: she is not hard to get anymore. She is difficult to want. Let me explain what this means, because it is the distinction that defines our era. Hard to get meant there was something valuable that required effort to obtain. The difficulty was a test. The challenge was part of the appeal. You pursued because you believed something worthwhile. A treasure, a heart, a loyal partner existed behind the barriers. The effort was proportional to the expected reward. Difficult to want means the barriers are gone, but what is revealed isn't appealing. There is nothing left to pursue because she has already shown you everything. And what she has shown you through her social media, her dating app profile, her online presence, has eliminated attraction rather than creating it. I talked to a guy recently who told me this story. He said, "I matched with this woman on Bumble. She seemed interesting from her profile. Then I looked at her Instagram. It was just a lot. Every photo was designed for maximum attention. Bikini shots, gym selfies, inspirational quotes over sexy photos. She had 20,000 followers and clearly spent hours curating this persona. I realized this woman isn't looking for a relationship. She is looking for an audience. And I don't want to be another follower. I want a partner. That is the shift. Men aren't avoiding women because they are intimidated. They aren't avoiding women because they are afraid of strong women. They are avoiding women because what these women are advertising, attention seeking, audience building, validation farming, is repulsive to a man looking for a serious life partner. Another guy told me, "I went on a date with a woman who posted about it on Instagram before we even finished dinner. She took photos of the food, the drinks, a selfie of us. She was on her phone editing and posting while I was sitting across from her. I realized she wasn't on a date with me. She was on a date with her followers. I was just a prop in her content. This is what difficult to want looks like. It's not that she is playing games. It's that her behavior, the constant broadcasting, the attention seeking, the performance for an audience, has made her unattractive. The abundance she has created around herself, the accessibility she has provided to everyone, has eliminated the qualities that make men want to pursue. You cannot be hard to get when you are available to everyone. And when you are available to everyone, men don't want you. Not because they can't have you, but because having you implies nothing special about them. I talk to guys in their 50s and 60s, and they all say the same thing. Dating was frustrating back then, but at least it was interesting. You didn't know if she liked you. You didn't know what she thought about everything. You had to discover her gradually. One guy told me this story. He said in 1987, he met a woman at a friend's party. He was interested. He got her number, called her a few days later. They talked for an hour, set up a date, went to dinner, talked for 3 hours, went on 3 more dates over 2 weeks. On the 4th date, she told him about her family trauma. On the 5th date, he learned about her career ambitions. By the 6th date, he was falling for her because he had slowly discovered who she was, layer by layer. He said they got married 2 years later and were together for 20 years. Then he told me about trying to date recently after his divorce. He said, "I matched with a woman on an app. Before I even messaged her, I looked at her social media. In 10 minutes, I knew her political views, her relationship history, where she went to college, what her ex looked like, what her body looked like from every angle, what she thought about current events, and what she'd been doing every weekend for the past 6 months. I never messaged her. Why would I? There was nothing left to discover. That is what has been lost. Discovery. The gradual unfolding of getting to know someone. The excitement of learning something new about them every time you talk. The mystery that kept you interested and invested. Now, before you even meet someone, you have consumed their entire digital presence. You have seen their curated highlight reel. You have formed a complete impression based on their performance for an audience, not who they actually are in person. And here is the kicker. Once you see everything up front, there is no reason to pursue. The chase requires something to discover. When she has already shown me everything, what am I chasing? Women thought that being more visible would make them more desirable. They thought showing more of themselves would attract better men. But it did the opposite. It eliminated the very thing that made men want to pursue. Mystery. You can't be mysterious when you are posting Instagram stories 12 times a day. You can't be intriguing when every thought and opinion is broadcasted publicly. You can't create the gradual unfolding of discovery when you have already revealed everything to everyone. Men evolved to pursue the unknown. We are explorers. We are hunters. We are attracted to what we don't yet fully understand. We are drawn to women who reveal themselves slowly, selectively, making each revelation feel earned and special. When women made themselves completely known to everyone, simultaneously, they eliminated the biological trigger that makes men want to chase. So, what happens now? We are seeing a market correction, and it is painful. Women are increasing the supply of their attention, their image, their accessibility to infinity. The market responded predictably. Value collapsed. And here is what makes this tragic. Women didn't want this outcome. They were told that being more open, more sexual, more accessible would give them power. That broadcasting themselves would attract higher quality men. What actually happened was that high quality men, men with options, men with resources, men who understand their own value, looked at women advertising themselves to everyone and thought, no thanks. They thought, why would I invest in her specifically? She is making herself available to everyone. She is not selected. She doesn't value herself enough to create scarcity. So why would I value her? The women who broadcast the most got the most attention from low-quality men who wanted easy access. The high-quality men moved on. They moved on to the increasingly rare women who still understood that scarcity creates value. Or they simply opted out of dating entirely to focus on their careers, their hobbies, and their peace. This is why you see so many successful, attractive women complaining that they can only find losers or players. Because the men who aren't losers or players have filtered them out based on their digital behavior. So, what do you do with this information? If you are a man who has lived through this transformation, who remembers what dating used to be like, how do you navigate what exists now? First, understand that your instincts are correct. When you see a woman who has broadcast her entire life to thousands of followers, who has matched with hundreds of men on apps, who has turned herself into content for mass consumption, and you feel no desire to pursue her, that is not you being shallow. That is not you being insecure. That is your psychology working exactly as nature designed it. Men pursue scarcity. Men pursue mystery. Men pursue women who seem selective. When a woman eliminates all of those qualities, she eliminates male attraction. That is not your fault. That is basic biology colliding with modern technology. Second, recognize that the women doing this are often victims of bad advice. They were responding to incentives. Social media rewarded visibility. The attention economy rewarded broadcasting. Dating apps rewarded accessibility. They optimized for those rewards and discovered too late that the rewards came at the cost of what they actually wanted: meaningful relationships. You don't owe them anything. You don't owe them pursuit. You don't owe them the effort of standing out among their 200 matches. You don't owe them commitment when they have made themselves available to everyone except for actual commitment. Your time and effort are valuable. Invest them in women who understand that. Third, understand that some women still get it. Not many, but they exist. They are the ones who aren't broadcasting their entire lives online. They are the ones with private profiles. They are the ones who maintain mystery and selectivity. They are the ones who understand that scarcity creates value and haven't given themselves away to the algorithm. Those women? They are worth pursuing. They are the ones who understand what makes the dance work. They are playing by the old rules that actually produced results. And ironically, they are the ones getting the best men, because high-quality men recognize what is rare and valuable. The rest? The ones posting 50 times a week? The ones with thousands of followers? The ones drowning in matches but complaining about the quality of men? Let them be confused. Let them wonder where the good men went. The good men went to the women, who still understand how this works. Or, the good men simply went home, poured a drink, and enjoyed the silence. You watched this whole transformation happen. You saw what worked get replaced by what doesn't. You are not crazy for being uninterested in what is abundantly available. You are sane. The system is what's broken, not you. The game didn't just change, it ended. What replaced it isn't a game at all. It is just broadcasting abundance and apathy. You remember when women were worth pursuing? When the chase meant something? When hard to get indicated value rather than performance for an audience? That world is gone, but your understanding of it is your greatest asset. Don't lower your standards to match the market's abundance. Keep your scarcity. Keep your value. Because in a world where everyone is for sale, the most valuable thing you can be is the one thing that can't be bought. Real.